I think. Okay, good. So today we're going to be taking a look at. Let me share my whole screen. Can you guys see my screen? Is it visible? Okay, good. So today we're going to be talking about stock market data, what it is, just more of an introduction to what is stock market data and what is stock like why is it important to analyze this data, as well as we're going to be having an analysis that's related to it. So it's going to be very interesting for that, I hope. If you have any questions, just stop me, okay? Okay. So let's start with what stock analysis is. I think I'm having a bit issue, not visible. Okay. What about now? Can anyone speak? Like, okay, is it visible now?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for the confirmation. So first off, let's start with what it is. What is stock data? First, let's talk about what the stock market really is, because I think it's really a new topic, but it's really a growing thing in Ethiopia, especially. So let's talk about what it is and what is the data, how, what is the analysis, why we do the analysis, where we can find that these data, the stock market data, as well as the type of analysis. Sorry. Okay. So what is stock market? So the stock market is just a market where companies share their time, like their financial instruments. Sorry, like companies and their financial instruments are bought and sold. That means you can buy shares of a company, you can buy their financial instruments such as bonds and so on and so on there, and you can also sell it there. So I think we're planning to start even in Ethiopia. So uh, it's just a place where companies share the sell and like you can buy companies instruments, financial instruments, and of course sell it as well. So it's just a network of all stocks trading where investors and traders like to buy and sell these stocks. So it's the place where most companies raise vast amounts of money to start and expand the business. So most of the companies that you see, like the huge companies, are heavily dependent or heavily rely on this stock market in order to raise their money, of course, and also they will have, of course, a lot of debt because a lot of companies work with like get their capital from the banks. So when they want to pay this debt and they don't have like they're not liquid. Liquid means like they don't have cash or something. They will just use this stock market in order to like raise this money and pay off their debts and so on. So like companies that are listed in the stock are public. So this means like you don't just buy stocks from that company just because it has a good name, Microsoft or like Apple, these are huge companies. So like, but we don't really just buy their stock just because they have a good reputation. They have to make their uh, some at least some things public in order for you to analyze and decide on whether to buy or sell that stock and so on. So the companies that are listed on the stock are public and are open for trading in the stock exchange and elsewhere. So it's open to everyone. You can buy their security, like you can buy stocks, you can sell stocks, you can analyze it, and so on and so on. So that's, I think, I don't want to go off topic, of course, but that's, I think, one of the reasons that a lot of companies here are scared of the stock, like entering the stock market, because they have to share some data, financial data. Anyways, back to the stock market data. So why do we need to analyze this data? So we know the stock market, like it's just a place where companies and other financial instruments are bought and sold. So financial instruments, of course, include like bonds, securities, and so on. So even the government is going to make these things available. So it's where these things are bought and sold, and there's this data. So we are going to be analyzing, right? So why do we need to make like this analysis? So the first one, of course, is to make informed investment decisions by understanding the market trend, the risk, and the opportunity. So, of course, there will always be risk, and there will always be opportunities, or like a gain, right? So finding the balance in those, like finding the balance between risk and profit, or gain, and so on. And like there are some stocks, I think by the end of this week you will see that there are, of course, some stocks that are uh, sorry sorry so there are some stocks that are more secure, or almost risk-free. Of course, there's nothing that's risk-free in theory. But if you take a look at bonds, like security stocks, and so on and so on, those are more, like more stable and risk-free, right? So, of course, the return is very low, but you will be sure that even if you don't make a lot of profit, you will not lose. So that's one thing. And there are some, of course, like such as Apple, NVIDIA, and so on and so on. So when you take a look at these companies, they will have a higher return, but of course there is there is also some risk to it. So to predict the stock price movement and optimize investment returns. So I think there will also be a challenge where we will take a look at how we can just balance this, like risk and return. So that we will have lower risk and higher return. We'll take a look at that. That's one of the things that analyzing the stock market data can give us. And of course, it will also help us to develop strategies that leverage the data-driven insight for financial success. Okay, so we have seen what the stock market is and why it is important to analyze it. So where do we get this stock market data? So the first thing is, the first one is the historical price. So of course we have real-time data. There are some APIs that provide the real-time data, which is updated like like starting from 2010. I think they have optimized it to have a latency of only 1 microsecond. If I might be wrong, uh, just but it's really like a low latency. So there is that like real time data, but of course there is also historical price. So the historical price is there, like it's stored over the time, and you can use this historical data in order to have a prediction about the future, and to have some analysis that is not time dependent. Like when I say it's not time dependent, like it doesn't really need the real time data in order to, like for you to do your analysis. So for those cases, especially for this week's project, you're gonna be working with the historical prices. So it includes the opening. So opening means, so the market opens at a certain time, uh, and the price that the company or the stock has at that time is called the opening. The high and the low is the highest that the company has during the day, in between the opening and the closing. The high, for instance, at the opening, it might be sailing around, let's say, $1.5. Okay, that's the opening. and at 6 p.m. or like at 6 p.m. it might rise to like $1.52, and the low could be like $1.49. So that's called the high and the low. So the high and the low is the highest of the day, and the lowest of the day are called high and low respectively. Okay, and the closing is of course just the opposite of the opening, which is the price at which when the stock is closed, the price of the stock. Okay? So this is computed for each day. So you can find in the historical price, you can find these things, the high, the low, the opening, and the closing. And it's used to track the performance of the stock over time and calculate returns. So of course, one thing I think I have missed here is also there will also be volume. So the volume is the amount of buys and sales, the amount of shares shares or stocks that's bought and sold during that day. So the amount of or the number of stocks that Apple sold and like bought for that day is called volume. So that's called the historical price or the historical data. And the fundamental data is actually like the financial statement, which includes like the income statement, the balance sheet. So how much did Apple make last year? How much income did it have? How much revenue did it like raise? How much cost did it have? So you have to share these things. So these are called the fundamental data. So it includes the financial statements, which of course are income statements, the balance sheets, and as well as its management team. So of course, like these terms might be really new to us, but even who is on the management team really affects the stock market. If you have seen, like currently, I think OpenAI has employed, I don't know, I forgot his name, but okay, like it's but when you actually like include in your teams has someone that's famous or really known in their management and so on, actually your stock market, your stock price could go up. So these are called sentiments, right? When someone who I don't know if you guys remember, but when they fired Sam Altman from OpenAI, like their stock market, their stock price has gone down by a bit. And when you come back, like the stock price actually gone up. Like you can actually cross check this. So that's the management team and its products and services. So like is it like even the economy? Like you will take a look at the economy, the industry that the product or the company is in, and how that industry doing, and so on and so on. Okay? So you can use this to assess the financial health of the company. So are they liquid? How much debt do they have? How much of their assets are financed by their debt? Like things like that. So these are more of accounting terms. So don't worry about it for now. What you need to worry about is or focus on what is the next, which is the technical data and the news and sentiment data. So the technical data includes indicators. So there are some indicators that are derived from the historical price. So you're gonna use the historical price in order to calculate or in order to perform the technical analysis. So these are like you can see. Okay, you can see that. For instance, you can use the historical price as well as the volume data in order to identify or do analysis. That's called the technical data analysis. So we will see some examples of this, of course, at the next slides. Okay. So the technical indicators are used to try to identify the trends and the patterns in the stock market. So one thing that you need to understand about stock market is there is this theory. I don't know if I should call it theory, but there is this assumption that history is going to repeat itself, right? So once you find the pattern, you can know what's going to come next. So I don't know if you are familiar with this, but people who trade these things have these books that tells them like that's actually have the patterns. So like they will cross-check the patterns with the current situation, and they will actually try to identify what's going to happen next. So that's is going to be helpful with the technical data, which is also what you're going to be doing like for this or end for the next project as well, especially for the next project. And of course, the last one, which is news and sentiment data. So this type of data includes like the news articles, the social media posts, of course, on X, like the former Twitter is actually like the any post that's related to the stocks on these social medias like X, Reddit, and so on really affect the price of the data or of the stock. So any news, of course, if there is a positive news about that company, like they have hired this person, like a famous management person, or they have hired this person. So like things like this really affect the price. So that's actually the core of what you're going to be doing for this week's challenge. So you need to be like more focused on this one as well. So this type of data, of course, includes news data, news articles, social media posts that mentions a particular stock. It's used to gauge the sentiment of the investors towards the stock. So, yeah, okay. Yeah. So, what is the source? So, where can we find these things? So the first one is, of course, the financial data providers. So there are some financial data providers which are that offers the stock market data for free or for a fee, depending on like especially for the real time APIs, there's some fee. Some of the most famous or popular financial data providers, of course, are Yahoo Finance, which you're going to be using for this project, which is Wi-Fi Finance. The package is called Wi-Fi Finance on Python. The Google Finance and, of course, Bloomberg are also examples of this. Of course, the next one is the stock exchange. So these are providers of the stock market data. Of course, they provide it for free. The best example is the New York Stock Exchange. And they, of course, provide this historical data and the stocks that are listed in their exchange. So they are just the place where you buy and sell these stocks. And of course, there is also the company website. The company website, which includes information about their financial performance, as well as the information that the investors might be interested. So these are more of instead of the stock price, they will share their financial data here in order to help you do the fundamental data analysis. Okay, so let's talk about, so we have talked about stock markets, the data, where it comes from, the type of data there is, and so on. So now let's talk about the stock market analysis. So what is this analysis? So this analysis is just a method for the investors to trade or to use to evaluate and investigate a particular trading instrument, trading investment sector, or just the stock market as a whole. So investors and traders make buying or selling decisions based on their analysis information. Of course, when we say analysis, you have to keep in mind that we are talking about the four, okay? The three, the financial, the fundamental analysis, the technical analysis, and of course, they will also take a look at the sentiment analysis. So this stock market analysis will help you to evaluate investment opportunities in specific stocks, identify trends and patterns in the market in order to help you, make informed decisions, and lastly, make informed investment decisions based on the data. So it's really like if you want to get into stock, it's a really good thing to do. Okay, so let's talk about the data. Like, of course, we're talking about the historical data. So let's talk about it. So when you download a ticker, like when you play with it, or when you work with the ticker, when you download or get historical data from, let's say, from Y Finance, you're gonna be taking a look at, or you will see these things, these 6 columns. Of course, it also includes the date. So the first one is the ticker. So the ticker is just symbols that represent a particular stuff. So Apple is AAPL, if I'm not mistaken. Microsoft, I think NSF, I think, if I'm not wrong, and so on. So that's what represents them. Okay, you're not going to find them by their name. That's the ticker. The open is, I think we have talked about the open, the high, the low, and the close, and the volume as well earlier. So open and the close are the price at which the stock market opens and closes, and the high and the low is the highest and the lowest price at which the stock market was being traded during the day, and the volume is the number of shares that's traded during the specific period. This includes, of course, both buying and selling. Okay, so we have come. Let's start with the analysis. So from here we're going to be taking a look at the stress analysis, the fundamental, the technical, and of course the sentimental analysis. Okay, so before I go on, how is everything going? So is it good? Can everyone hear me? Is my audio audible? Can you see my screen and so on? Why don't we have meeting sessions? Yes, Stefanos? Okay, good. Let me just see some questions if we have some. Yeah. Yes, I think that's a good answer. Yes, of course, that's also the reasons. I'm sharing the that resource solicitation. Okay, yeah, we should. Okay, yeah, like every time you will get slides, and of course, if there is any demonstration, you will also get either the GitHub if it is a full code, or for this case, you will get the notebook from the collab. Okay. So let's go on. So let's talk about the fundamental analysis. So the fundamental analysis, as we have talked earlier, is more like is more about knowing the financial status or the financial health of the company. So it's more like when you hear the terms, you might not know them because most of them are from the accounting terms, but it involves like the evaluation of the business at its basic financial level. Of course, you will not find like all of the financial data of the company, but from what they share, especially from their revenue, like what was the revenue last year, how much did they make this year, how much are they valued, and so on and so on. Okay? So it's focused on the intrinsic value of the company by examining its financial health, management team, and competitive advantage and future growth prospects. So it's more about intrinsic value. So from the like you will like on the fundamental analysis, you will look within the company. So like news and sentiment analysis are not only intrinsic, like so they are more extreme, like external values of the company, how people perceive that company, right? So does it have a good name? Like you can see like during the current one, of course, like it's really weird that the Tesla, yeah, like some stocks are falling because of some news. You can see the hate on like I don't want to say hate, but okay, I think it's good data related, but you can see how it affected Tesla because of Elon and so on. So those are things that are I believe external, but for this one it's more of intrinsic value. So let me just focus on this one. So the financial health of the company, which means are they liquid? how much of their assets is funded by debt, or how much debt that do they have. So uh, okay, like I don't want to go off course, but I want to use examples just to have good understanding. So that you can see like a lot of AI companies are actually calling for bankruptcy, even though they have raised like like $500 million, because most of their companies were like like based off debts or have a lot of debts, so they couldn't continue. Okay, sorry about that. So that's what the financial health really is. So like knowing where the company stands in the financial meter is a good thing. The management team, I think we have spoken about it earlier. The competitive advantage, like are they updating their selves? Like like who are the competitors, and what is their like key advantage, and are they like not going to fall behind and so on. Then their future growth prospects is also another example. So this shows whether or not the current price. So this is the key thing about the fundamental analysis. So you will do the fundamental analysis in order to identify or know, or like have an idea about whether or not the current price of the company that's found in the stock market is really reflected on the company's future value. So what this means is, so the company might be valued at $2 per share, okay? But like when you do your analysis, you might feel, or you might come up with an idea that it's being overpriced, right? So this is the case for a lot of companies. So when they feel that they are being overpriced, of course they will drop their share like price and so on. But they just like having this analysis or doing this analysis is going to tell you whether or not the price that's found in the stock. So Apple might be valued at $2 today, but when you do this analysis, you might see that it's being overvalued. So you will know that you need to sell and not buy, okay, because it's being overvalued. But if it is being undervalued, you will sell. Oh, sorry, you will buy, no, and did not sell. Okay, so that's just the game of it. So let's talk about more. I think let's talk more about uh, let's talk more about. Sorry, just give me a second. Uh, where we can find this data, how just some examples. Of course, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but let's talk about it. Okay. So the data source are, of course, financial statements, which is income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement, annual reports, industry reports, news articles about the company and its industry. You're gonna be using this in order to find out about the health of the company. So some metrics that you do, or like some metrics in the fundamental analysis are price to earning ratio, return to equity, debt to equity ratio. So these ratios are like, especially the return on equity ratio and the debt to equity ratio are really like, I believe a really good place to start to know about the financial health of the company. And of course, profit margin and close rates are also some examples. So I'm not going to go deep, but if you have any questions, we can talk about it. But let's talk about the technical analysis. So the technical analysis focus on the historical data and the volume data in order to identify the trend, the pattern, and like try to predict the future price movement. So you will use, like, what you will do is you will use the current data, the historical data that you have, from the Y Finance or like the APIs that provide them, and try to like build a model that's going to predict the future price. So if the model tells you that the price is going to go down, you will sell. If the model tells you that the price is going to go up, you will buy, and so on. You know? So some technical indicators are moving average, relative strength index, the moving average convergence divergence. This will just help you identify the patterns that indicate the future price trends or directions. So the technical analysis assumes that the past price movement can influence the future price movement. So this is the key thing that the technical analysis actually rely on. So, like I have said earlier, like there will like the assumption is that the history is going to repeat itself. So some of the common indicators that we have seen earlier or mentioned them are the moving average. It's just a trend following indicators that smooths out the price data. Relative, I think you will have a session tomorrow, so this is just introduction. That's why I'm just mentioning them. Okay, tomorrow on your sales session, you will have a demonstration. Relative strength index is just a measure of the speed and change of price movements. So the higher the relative index, like the riskier it gets. The moving average convergence divergence just shows the relationship between the moving average and the relative strength index. I'm not wrong. Yeah. Yeah. So, like as I've said earlier, the technical analysis is based on these assumptions. The market knows it all, so technical analysis consider that all the factors affecting the company are priced into the security. The price follows a trend, so once you establish a trend, the future price tends to follow that direction. So it's just like history is going to repeat itself. Okay, so technical analysis involves using charts, patterns to analyze the movement of the market and study the trend. So like basically it's all based on like the assumption that history is going to repeat itself. Likely, of course, it's not always going to repeat itself perfectly, but once you have established like this pattern, you will know like it's likely that history is going to repeat itself. So there are some actually books that actually specify or like people study in order to like have this knowledge. Yeah. Okay. So the last part, which is sentiment analysis. So sentiment analysis is a very interesting topic for me because it's just a sentiment analysis is the process of determining the emotional tone of a piece of text, whether it's positive, negative, or neutral. Okay, so it's very interesting for me because uh, it's used in a lot of things, especially for instance, if you take a look at Amazon or companies that have a huge customer base, like employ this thing because you cannot go through every comment, right? You cannot go through every comment and like, okay, see, this comment is positive, this comment is negative, or this comment is neutral. We need to work on this one. People are loving this, so we need to work on this one and so on. So that's really hard. So there's like the sentiment analysis comes into play here. So it processes like it takes a piece of text and try to determine the emotional tone. So okay, so like this text is more of a positive thing, or this text is more of a negative thing, and so on and so on. So we will actually see an example on this one. So these things are reside within the NLP tasks. It analyzes options and feelings expressed within the writing and categorize them as positive, negative, or neutral. Actually, for this uh, challenge, of course, you can categorize them as positive, negative, and neutral by looking at the value, because the value you get is in numeric or float. And so what you will do is 0 is for neutral, positive numbers are for positive, and the negative numbers are for negative. So NLTK are just the natural language toolkit, which you will use in order to just get this, sentiment analysis. There are pre-trained models that help analyze the sentiment of the text data. So they have some open source libraries for Python that provides this comprehensive set of tools for working with human language. So it's really fascinating for me at least. Yeah. So yeah, it offers built-in sentiment analysis like better, like better just balance awareness dictionary and estimates listener. And like you can use also text blob, which we are going to use for this session. So why would we do this, right? Why would we go through this sentiment analysis, the task of sentiment analysis? So the first one is to understand the customer's opinion and feedback. Like I've said earlier, when we talked about Amazon and like huge companies like this, you need to know how the people are feeling, what you need to like improve on, and what you need to keep going with. Analyze the social media trend and brand perception. This is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be analyzing the trend that the social media has, and of course, the news article. Of course, you're going to be working with the news article, but of course, of course, you can also work with the Twitter data and so on, because they also provide APIs. You can see the trend, so how people are like engaging with it and so on. So what's the perception that the people have? Are they mad at the company? Do people hate the company and so on and so on? And monitor product reviews and identify areas of improvement, like I said earlier, with understanding the customer opinion and feedback. Gain insight into the audience, sentiment towards the market campaign. So once you have a market campaign, you can actually see how the people or the audience are engaging with it, and what kind of sentiment they have, towards it. And of course, filter spam and identify potential offensive content. They can also do this with sentiment analysis. This is like how they filter out actually content from like Facebook and so on and so on. Okay, lastly, let's talk about time series. I know it's a lot, but I just wanted to go through the slides and have a Q&A session afterwards. So if you have questions, please ask them afterwards, okay? So the time series analysis in finance. So this is really interesting as well. So the time series analysis involves analyzing the stock price over the time to identify the pattern. So almost in all, I wouldn't say all, but like in most, you can actually extract three things from time series data or a time series plot. The first one is a trend, which is a pattern that exists involving a long-term increase or decrease. So, okay, I think there's a graph, so we will take a look at it there. Okay? So it's just the general direction in which the market is going. So is it growing? Is it going down? Is it falling or so on and so on? Seasonality is a periodic pattern that exists during due to season. So it could be yearly, quarterly, monthly, like weekly, daily. So some stocks are actually so if you look at, of course, it's hard because we don't have it here, but if you see the news, so the companies are now like have these like announcements every year or so, right? When they are not, where they announce new products and so on. So if you look at the price, for Apple, specifically, they normally introduce new products at the end of the year. So at the end of the year, their products is going to be their price is going to be higher, because people feel like when they introduce new products, it's going to go up and so on. But I think to have a better example, okay, like there are some products, right? Some products that are seasonal. It's not a good example. It might not be a good example, but just to have just this sense of understanding, we can take a look at, um, let's say, a close, a closing brand, let's say Dior, and let's say instead of Dior, like that the Dior that we know, let's say it's a Dior that sells like 30 coats, right? So, or snow, like the coats for the snow. So if if they only sell these coats that are suited for snowy season, so they're going to be seasonal, right? So in the like in the summer they may go down, and on the like snow season they may go up and so on. So that's seasonality. Of course, we will see an example as well. So it's just a pattern that repeats at a regular interval. So the key term here is at a regular interval. So it could be in a year. So in the example of the snow coat, it's more of a yearly interval because we only have one snow season per year. So it's going to go up in and go down on the rest. And the next one is just cyclic. It's just a pattern that exists where the data exhibits rise and fall that are not fixed in a period or less than 2 years. Okay, long-term movement in a price that occurs regularly but not necessarily annual. So here, I think this is a good example that we can work with. So here we have the observed one. So this is the time series data, the pure time series data that you get. And the trend is, as you can see, the general, is it falling or is it rising and so on. So if you see at the peaks, so here, like it started here, right? So it started here and it was going down. If you see the points, it's going down. Like if you just connect the points, it's going down, and starting from here, it's going up, 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 up. I don't know if you can see my mouse, like my cursor, but just showing, and it's going down and so on, right? So it's just a thing. So from this chart, you can see the trend that from 2005 up to 2006 mid-year, it's like falling. It was falling, or the prices was going down, and from 2006 mid-year up to 2009, it has been growing. Of course, from there it's more of a stable, but it's stably going down. So that's the thing. So we got actually, so like don't think of these things as, of course, we can actually, there are some tools that does this automatically for us. So we might not need to do this ourselves. We might not need to like identify or take or extract this data from it. But I just want you to know that this is the observable one is the original data that's provided to us. The trend, the season, and the randomness are just extracted for it, okay? And when you see the season, so it has like this, some sort of repetition that's extracted from the data. So you can see from the observed, there are some if you see all at 2005, it was a bit down, and it goes up and down and continues to go like slightly higher, but stably, and go down a bit. And it's actually repeats on 2006, around 2006, and it does the same thing. In 2007, it does the same thing and so on. So this is called seasonality. You can actually see it here. And the randomness is just the trend minus the observed minus the trend minus the seasonality, just what's left from it. Okay. Yeah. So before we move on, is it clear on the decomposition of the time series data? Is it clear? Yeah, good, good, good. So I think everyone is going to like enjoy this project because it's really interesting. Okay, let's. In that case, I think we can move to Mukhtar. Is that a question or just curiosity? you guys can, yes, not Nabil.
Do you guys, do you know exactly how the time series was decomposed into the various components?
You can actually see it here in the graph. Like, I think, I don't
No,
know, like I can see
mathematically,
it.
like mathematically, how do you take
Oh,
the observed and then how do you decompose it into the
ah,
various components?
to be honest, there is a mathematical way to do it. That's why there are packages that does this, but I don't know. Like I don't like the mathematical way of it. But of course, there is that. If you are interested in it, I think we can share some like resources.
That would be great.
Yeah, okay. I think I have some questions before we move on to the or shall we just I think you guys were just having some discussions here. Mm, okay, I think let's go to the sentiment analysis and we'll come back to it. So can you see my screen on the sentiment? No, not good. Okay, so I actually used the data that we have provided to you guys. So it's the same data that you're going to be working with. So it's just connecting with runtime. So let's do that. In the meantime, let me just explain about the code. So the first one is the first cell is just for importing like oh, it has removed it actually. I might have to load. Uh, there's just create a folder. And oh, okay. Now I get it. I think I have created the slides, with another email, and I'm sharing it with another one. That's why. That's here. We can just upload it. Let me go to my downloads and yeah. So let it just do this. So here is the first cell is just importing the like the dependencies. So I'm going to be using pandas, NumPy, TextBlob for doing the sentiment analysis. The matplotlib, just having some plots in order to see uh, about the sentiment. So yeah, the second cell is just about uh, 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 downloading or loading, reading the CSV file that we have provided you guys with. So let me just run it. While unexpected window of data. I don't know when. Let's say this. Great. Then see if I have this the correct point. Yeah, okay, it has loaded. I don't know why it didn't before, but it has. Okay, so let's talk about the first 5 lines
Sorry,
or
but
rows.
can you zoom a bit?
Yeah,
Can you
okay,
zoom the
okay.
screen a bit because it's too small? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we can take a look at it here. So this is just the row number, and we have the headline, the URL, the publisher, the date, and the stock. Yes, is that a question? Yes.
Yes.
What do you get?
Yeah. The data size of this row analysis rating is around 320. I tried to load it, but it took a lot of time. So what kind of mechanism do you use?
Hmm, It's the same thing. Like I just downloaded the data from the drive and just uploaded it. I don't know. Maybe it's the network. I'm using actually my phone for like hotspot. So I don't know why it didn't work for you. That's uh, like, are you trying to use Collab or are you trying to use it on your local machine?
Is trying to use Colab. Even when I try to open it using Excel, it also give me some kind of error.
Maybe at the end of the session here, I will give you the chance to like show us your screen. And we can take a look at it. Right? Yeah. So we have the headlines, we have the URL, the publisher, and so on and so on. Right? So here actually we can see the headline. So stock hits 52-week high on Friday. Stock hits on Wednesday. These are just the headlines. Updated BlackBerry CEO always says always in a talk and so on and so on. So here's just a simple function that's going to take in the text and it's going to use text blob and do some sentiment polarity on it. And it's going to apply that function here. You can see on the DF, I'm actually run this one just to see that we are on the same page. And this function is going to add a new column called sentiment, and in this column it's going to take the headline and apply the calculate sentiment function to it, and it's going to just put the value in the sentiment column. That's just what's going. So let me run it. It might take some time because it's a very long or a very huge number. Oh, it just took 8 seconds. Okay. So here we can see we have the row number, the headline. So then it's just the ID, the URL, the publisher, the date, the stock, and the sentiment. So here we have zero a lot. So this just means that it's neutral. It's not that positive. It's not negative. It's just neutral. So here we have just a simple thing like a code that's going to show us the describe, like it's going to describe the headline. Instead of the headline, I think we can use, what was it? Sentiment. Here as well. Okay, it can be the headline, the number of unique. Let's do the sentiment. Most frequent headlines. The sentiment. Okay, we actually have it here. There's a plot of, so let's run this one. So let's talk about it. So here we have the describe. So we have 36,269 rows. What does this stock simple meaning? So we have talked about it here. It's just the ticker. So that's just the simple is the ticker. So stocks like Apple stock is not called Apple. It's like the ticker symbol is AAPL. For Microsoft, for Tesla, and for every stock, they have this ticker. So the ticker is just the identifier or the symbol for a particular stock. Okay? So A is actually, we can see here. Oh, what is ticker symbol? I think I should add, sorry. So here you can actually see them, but I think, yeah. So A is for, I don't know why it's not. The network is, I think, not good. Can you guys see it? At least I don't know why. But A is for agile, I don't know. No, just diagnostics on the research. A is for Alcoa, I think, corporation, aluminum, and so on and so on. So these are the symbols. Okay? So it's a unique identifier. You can take it as a unique identifier for the stock. So here you can see the mean is 0.4, which is positive. The standard deviation is 0.177. The minimum is -9, which means very negative. Okay, -1 is the most negative, and the maximum is the most positive headline. Okay, so there are 0 missing. There are 832 unique sentiment values. So the most, like you can see here, the most frequent headlines, sorry, sentiment values. So out of the, I think 36,000, almost 24,000 are 0 or neutral. So this is going to help you when you do analysis. You will not be amused when you find out that most of the sentiment is like neutral. And 0.5, we have 2,000 0.5s. Like these are the most frequent, like the top 5, 0.25, 0.13, and 0.1. So here it's just I think it's the same thing that the first one. I think I have duplicated it. And here you can see the distribution. So it's more to the right? And here, actually, you can see what are the most like positive headlines in the top 5 negative headlines. So if let's say some of it based by so analysis upgrades and downgrades, one move game refers its best months ever in July. So this is a very positive thing. I don't know this silver completes underground drilling. It is also positive top 10 best stocks of 2017. So people are going to be hyped, right? It's like, okay, so what are these 10 stocks? So people are going to invest in them more. Miners, the best way to play the rate hike. So this is also a very positive thing. Intake semiconductors among the worst performance. So a very negative thing. I have just made a horrible investment. So this is also a very negative thing. Worst performing industries in 2016. So if your company's name is in here, you can stay assured. Like if, of course, if it's a very reliable source, you can be sure that the price is going to go down. There was performing industries for December 2004 and stuff. So these are the worst or the most negative things and the worst positive things. Just examples. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it from my side. So how was it, guys? Was it clear? Do you have any questions? I will actually go through the comments section as well. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Okay. Okay, let's me just take a look at some questions and we can I can wrap up if you don't have any. Okay, can you explain more about raw data analysis rating and the Y finance data? So yeah, I think we have just worked with in this example we have worked with raw analysis rating CSV, which just includes the headline, the publisher, the URL, the date, and the stock it talks about. So it's just a news data. Who wrote it? Where can you find it? When was it written? About which ticker or about which stock it was written about and who wrote it? Like this type of data. And the Y finance data is just the data that you can get from Y finance, Yahoo Finance. This just includes these things: the ticker, the open, the high, the low, the close, and the volume. So that's the two data as well that we have provided you. Okay. What are we going to do with them, and how, like, the profits, especially columns? Shall we take one ticker and work on it, or all of them? So yeah. So I think we have specified the tickers that you're going to be working with. So what I would recommend you guys to do is, instead of doing the sentiment for all of it, you can just extract the news data for those, sorry, for those tickers, and just work with them. Okay. Okay. Yes, is that a question? Sorry. Yeah. Yes, Diane.
Yeah, my question is that in row, I mean, like rating CSV file under the column stocks, we cannot find the same stocks listed in Y Finance directory. I mean, like Apple, Google, Microsoft, something like that. But in rating, I think I'm repeating myself, but in rating data, those CSV files, there are no stocks symbols that are listed in a Y Finance data directory. So how can we link those two files together to make a
Sorry,
idea?
I don't understand the question. Sorry. Can you
Okay.
come again? So on the
Okay.
Y Finance, we have, we have these tickers, the Apple, the
Yeah.
Google, and so on. So you cannot find those tickers in the headline.
No, not in the headline. In the file which called row analysis rating.csv file.
This
Under
one.
the column, yeah, under the column talks, we cannot find those stickers in this file. So how can we link between
Under the column stock?
Yeah, you see it, it's only AAAA, which means it represents another company.
Let's see. I think we can actually see. Okay, I can't add it here because I don't have edit access. Let me just.
Yeah, scroll down. I think I saw it while you printed.
Just give me a second.
Okay, easily. Let me rephrase my question. How can you link those two files using the dates or the stocks?
Of course, you have the stock, the tickers on the Y Finance, and you already have. I don't know why it is not working.
Yeah, we
can
do
also-
have those. Yes, we do have those stocks in Y Finance directory, but I cannot find it in a row analysis rating those CSV.
Let me see, like maybe the data. Let's, like, what I'm going to do is, let me just check. Let me check. Sorry. Let me check if the tickers are not found in the headline, like the raw analysis rating headline, like the tiers that stock. It's not only A, I know that, but if it's has been tampered with, then maybe have some basic tickers. So let me just take a look at here.
Okay, on the top of that,
If there is another.
yeah, I do have one question. Why you are doing this? Did you clean the data before, or you just do it?
No.
Without clean?
No, I did not. Yeah. I did not clean it. I just wanted to show that the sentiment analysis. Of course, like on the headline, there might not be a lot of cleaning. Of course, you might need to clean symbols if there are any symbols there. You might need to clean it and so on. But I did not. Okay, let's see.
Sorry to interrupt you, but on the row analysis data file line, the ticker is available.
On the what?
Available. The row data.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Under the stock column.
For Abdul Fattah, yes, they are available, but those stocks listed under the Y Finance are not there. I'm not talking about the other companies. We have
No,
to
no,
do
it's
those
available
analysis.
now. For example, Apple is available in the raw data. Raw analyst
Okay.
ratings. Yeah,
Ah.
find it. It's there is a lot of companies. That's why maybe, but I have seen it.
I think, yeah.
Really? Like
Yeah.
there is an Apple ticker inside raw rating, .ccv
Yeah,
file?
yeah, exactly. It will be. I think. Can I share your screen?
Yeah, you can. I think I have seen it actually on
Yeah, it's available.
on my notebook as well. It is available, but yeah, you can share as well. I think you have just scroll, like if you are scrolling down, it might be a
Yeah.
long way to go, but it's,
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm trying to see like 100,000 lines, but I didn't find it. Maybe my file is corrupted. Okay. Can you share the file, please?
I think the same file. I think we have different files. Maybe you can share. Like, are you on your computer? And maybe we can see.
Yeah, okay. I can do that.
Share. I think that's better. Like, let's. That.
It's almost in the 5,900 and 40 something like that.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
do you see
why,
under the column stocks?
why would you do this? I think this is going to be very. Why don't
Go,
you
go.
just use Python?
Go up to 6,000.
Up to 6,000, okay. Yeah. Still A, you see?
Yeah, 6,000. Good, 6,000.
Okay. Use this for L.
Okay,
Yeah.
You see,
Here it's
okay, this is
right.
no, this is not an Apple. Apple is AAPL.
Yeah, let me share. I think.
Kata frame na tasa yun naman gawin. Pandas na
Let me
frame na
share. I
sa
think this is not a good way. This is not a good way to share.
frame na
Let,
sa
let, let me share.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing.
Yeah, it's next to this stock.
Yeah. Let me read. Can you see my screen?
Okay, I got you guys. I'm sorry for my mistake. Yeah, it exists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So instead of doing this, I think it's better to just load your file and then find like in the stock it's called Apple, Microsoft, and so I think this is better. But yeah, it's okay. Good question. Let's go to the next one. Should we take one ticker and work on it or all of them? I think it's better to work on all of them to have the general understanding of how correlated. So the basic idea is to see how correlated the news sentiment is with the price, like the moving average price. So it's better to do it with all of them. Of course, if you want to compare, you can do it for each as well. Of course, you have to do it for all, but you can also do it for each. and then say like, okay, so for this one it was like this, like for Apple it's more really like correlated, but for Tesla it's less correlated, but and so on and so on. Okay. Could you make it more clear, the technical analysis? So of course, you're like I have said, you're gonna have another session on it. That's why I'm just introducing it to you guys. But for the technical analysis, it's just that you're gonna use the historical data price, the historical price data that suggests the one that we have provided you with, and you're gonna doing some technical analysis like the moving average and the convergence, that divergence analysis, and so on, in order to see, or in order to try to identify the pattern that the trade, the price or the trend is going, and try to make your financial like analysis or decision based on that analysis. So you're gonna take. Of course, there are also machine learning models that also does this for you in order to identify the future, trying to identify the future. So yeah. Or something when it's actually yes. When you make it more clear analysis, okay, I think I just okay, I think we have also discussed this. Use customers of physical technology. Lincoln?
Yeah, I have one question. Maybe it will related with other week also. On week 1 and week 0, we have been used a data which is already collected and gave to us. But when we go to real world tasks, there should be data came from somewhere, not online, not prepared from other companies. So is it the responsibility of data scientists to collect those data and clean and do some analysis, or it always came from other departments?
Oh, okay, that's really good and interesting question. So it's a bit of more. So for some cases, there are times where the data scientist is responsible for collecting the data. For instance, for this week's challenge, you might go ahead and, since it's very easy, you might go ahead and actually download or get the finance data, like the stock data from Y Finance. It's really easy, even though we have like shared it, but it might not be as easy to get the news data. So in that case, there is actually the data engineering team that's going to be responsible for that one. That's going to build a pipeline, especially if you are going to be working with real-time data. There should be a pipeline that's going to bring the data, clean it, and provide you with the version that you need. So it really depends on the situation and the program. So for this week, of course, we have provided you with the news data, but of course there was I think a challenge where like there is a challenge where you're gonna go ahead and collect the data, get the real-time data, and do some analysis on your own. But for this one, it's a bit of both. Of course, you can get the financial or the stock data, stock price data yourself. But since you're gonna be limited with the time of the headline, because the headline is I think from 2000, what was it? Okay, but since it's limited time, the stock data also needs to be limited. So that's why we have provided you with the stock data. But to answer your question more in a more clear way, it depends. So of course you're gonna be having another project where you're gonna be responsible for collecting the data you like by yourself. Yeah. Is that clear? Thank you.
Yes,
Okay.
for this part, it is clear. But let's say working on some company, that company wants to analyze something based on its own data. That data can be dispersed on many locations. So if I want to analyze those data, what should I do? How I collect those data and other things can be learned in this course, or
So yeah, like I've said, so it depends on like the situation, like how big is the data, like of course, like I said, there's a profession called data engineering, which also, of course, specializes in these things. They build the pipeline where they fetch the real-time data. It could be real-time data or not, but where they fetch, they clean, and like build a pipeline that's just going to give you what you want. But if you don't have like the luxury of hiding that team, of course, you're going to be having to do those things. Of course, if you have APIs that collect the data and bring them to you, it's really good. But if you don't have those data, it's going to be hard. But like I've said, we're going to have programs or trainings that of course are going to touch on the data engineering part, where you collect data from Telegram and work like build your database. Like I think you also will build a data lake, and from the data lake you're gonna have the database, and like you're gonna build a whole pipeline where it's fixing the data, it's going to do speed processing, it's going to clean it and provide you with the data that you want to work with, or for analysis and so on. So of course, you're gonna have a session where you are going to be working with data engineering part. So yeah.
this is helpful.
Excuse me, I think I didn't hear you.
Thank you. This is helpful.
Okay. Yeah, of course, every code and every slides are going to be shared after the session, okay? For each, like for this and future uh, sessions as well. Yes, Mukhtar?
Yeah, yes. How are you doing?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, actually, I haven't heard your answer that you gave me on the previous question that I have asked
What
because
was
of
the question?
connection issues. Sorry for that. Yeah, the question is, in the previously, the spoke on the, which is mentioned, I think it's in the row analyst part, yeah. In the column, there is a lot of stocks names there. And the financial part one has only a few data there. So how we are going to do that? You can give us
Then
some one example how we
filter.
yes
Filter the row hairline data and just take out the sticker that.
okay. So we data based on the financial data we have, right?
Of course, because how else would you like relate them? So you're gonna relate them with two things.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
The first one is the ticker symbol, and the second one is the date, right? And from the date you're gonna have the price, the average price, and the sentiment analysis. So you're gonna really be like going to see how the sentiment affected the ticker's price, right? So if you like for A, you don't have the ticker like the financial data for the ticker A, right? So why don't you just filter it out?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I think I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I think we have talked about this one. Okay, like, do you have any questions, guys? If you have, please ask. Yes, Girma. Yes, if you are speaking, you are on mute. Please unmute yourself. Of course, you have to do cleaning. Okay, you have to clean. There are any symbols. Yes, yeah. I think you're back to mute, Girma. Okay, what? Please do it for all, okay? Yes, Abel, you can name it yourself. But instead of like naming it came week 1 and things like that, try to name it based on the project. So what is this project trying to do? So you can call it like a correlation, sentiment analysis, and price, like a stock price correlation. Like, because this project is not just for us, like you're not just doing it for the trading, right? You're gonna be keeping it and you're gonna be showing it to people. So when you share your repo, if it just says KM week 1, it's not going to be like descriptive enough. So try to make the name descriptive of the project. Okay. Okay, guys, I think if there is no question, Girma, if you can't speak, please speak. But if there is no more questions, we can end. Yes, Girma? Yes.
final
Okay. So, yeah, interim submission ማለት is just interim submission is just where you show your progress. ፕሮግረሳችሁ እስካሁን የተሰራችሁት ምንድን ነው? ፕሮግረሳችሁ ምን ላይ ያላችሁ? So every project ሁለት ኢንትሪም እና ሁለት ፋይናል ሰብሚሽን ይኖራል። Of course, if not stated in the challenge document, እንደዛ ነው የሚኖረው። አንዳንድ ፕሮጀክቶች of course የሁለት ሳምንት ሊሆን ይችላሉ። እንደዛ ሲሆን 3 ሊሆን ይችላል. But basically, it's just going to be you're gonna have an interim submission report in my GitHub, in which you're gonna tell us your progress, construction, mostly task 1 and task 2, or task 1 and half of task 2, like progress action. Progress action is specified on the challenge document. So what have you done? What's challenge አጋጠማችሁ? like the interim የሚሆነው እስካሁን ድረስ የምንሰራችሁ like ፕሮግረሳችሁ ምንድን ነው የሚመስለው? ምን ችግር አጋጠማችሁ? how did you solve it, or how are you planning to solve it? And of course finally ለፊውቸር ደግሞ ምንድን ነው ያሰባችሁት የሚለውን በአጭሩ ለመግለጽ ነው። Of course, like maybe I don't think it's a good time to talk about this right now, but when you write a report, don't write a report on the tasks. ያ ማለት ምንድን ነው? ታስክ 1ን ጊታብ ሪፖርት ሰርቼ ምናምን አይደለም መሆን ያለበት። like reporting in a sense of reporting ለክላስ ሪፖርት እንደምናደርገው አይደለም፣ ለክላስ ሪፖርት እንደምናደርገው አይደለም ማለት ታስክ 1 ላይ ጊታብ ሪፖርት ክሬት አድርጌያለሁ፣ ከዛ በኋላ ደግሞ ጊታቡ ላይ እንደዚህ ብራንች አድርጌያለሁ ምናምን አይደለም። like think of yourself as someone who is already working on this project. So አሁን ለምሳሌ ይሄ ፕሮጀክት ተሰጥቷችሁ እየሰራችሁ ባላችሁበት ሰዓት ላይ አለቃችሁ እስቲ እስካሁን ድረስ ፕሮሰሳችሁን አቅርቡልኝ ስራችሁ ጊታብ ክሬት አድርጌያለሁ፣ ስሙ እንደዚህ ነው፣ ይሄን ያህል ብራንች አለው ምናምን ብትሉ like your boss is not going to be interested. So we are interested, and like the stakeholders interested in your progress as in your result analysis result. So ለምሳሌ if you did EDA or task 1 ላይ of course ለአሁኑ like we're starting off easy, so like ለአሁኑ task 1 is more related with GitHub and some analysis. So EDA ምናምን በሚሆንበት ሰዓት ላይ for instance EDA በምሰሩ ጊዜ ምን አገኛችሁ? What's interesting about it? And like ዳታው ላይ ምን ችግር አገኛችሁ? Like of course a lot like more related to the project what have you done and what have you gotten from doing it የሚለው ላይ ብናተኩር ይሻላል። ሪፖርት በምንጽፍበት ጊዜ not the task. So task one ላይ እንደዚህ ይላል እንደዚህ ሰርቻለሁ ብትሉ like it's not going to be interesting. So think like scenario የምንሰጣችሁ like I think you have seen the trying to document ሁሌ ምን አለው scenario አለ. So that scenario is just to help you set yourself up for that position. So like እንደዚህ ያለ ካምፓኒ እንደዚህ ይፈልጋል ስትባሉ you're going to be responsible for that task, right? So for that task ምን ሰራችሁ ምን አገኛችሁ ምን ለመስራት አሰባችሁ የሚለውን እና ደግሞ like ቻሌንጆቹን ከዛ አንጻር መሆን አለባቸው እንጂ if I'm your boss and you just present to me እንትን ለመስራት አስቤ ጌታዊ እምቢ አለኝ ምናምን of course ቻሌንጅ አይደለም እያልኩ አይደለም like አታቀርቡት ይሄ ነገር አታውሩት እያልኩ ሳይሆን it should be the core of the report ነው ያለው maybe like የመጀመሪያ ሪፖርት ስለሆነ it's okay ግን ካሁን በኋላ ላለው ማለት ነው Yeah, Mukhtar, you can go. I think you
sorry, without the yeah. Actually, as you see, MET find the metadata it's here. It's right. I get this data here. I think, yeah, this here, right? This is stock. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
So there is no
so this
MTA at this page.
There is no what?
MET. No. It says meta, right?
Yeah.
So we are going to match this name along with this one.
If it is not there, yeah, I think like maybe meta is the current name. Before that, I think it wasn't called. What was it called? I think the name was different. Maybe that's the case.
Yeah. Actually, there is no any group name for them. I think it's called anyway. There is. I think the name meta is coming. Recently there is no group zone all.
Yes.
Group products like Instagram and other things. So
yeah,
to work like this.
That's folder tickets for what's FTB. I think can you check FTB?
FTB, okay.
What are you guys doing it on Excel sheets? Why are you guys not doing it on like your notebooks and so on?
I think to look some files and we can proceed to notebooks for sure.
No, it's not good. Like this is like really going to take you a lot of time. So if you got like I have like it just took me 3 seconds to find FB. But if you just keep scrolling up and down like that, I'm just trying to help. Okay, like don't take it the wrong way. If you are comfortable with this one, please do continue.
Also, how do you work out? Shower sometimes.
Coding is very easy. Excuse me?
You're saying something.
Be breaking up. So do you want me to show you how I do it? Is that the question?
No. So based on the previous I asked you, so how we are going to have, is that another term for a specific name for stock meta to FAB?
FAB, like Meta was called Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Meta is the new name, like starting from 2022, it's called Meta. But before that, it's called Facebook, so it was FAB. So just try to look at it from FAB stickers. Simple.
I don't know. Okay, I'll leave it like that.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think we have actually gone over by 30 minutes, but if everything is clear for everyone, I think we can end the session. So is it clear, guys? And I see some thumbs up if it is clear. Okay, guys, thank you for joining. and have a great day. Thank you guys. Bye. If you have any questions, please do ask on Slack, okay?